Good morning. As we promised, let's talk now about bullying. Many cases of bullying often happen in children at school or in other environments. Things such as body weight and social status would often become ammunition for the bullies.
That's right. There's a recent case in Indonesia where a child burned down a school since he was often bullied by his friends and apparently his teacher too. Now, sadly, his own teacher took part in bullying him at the same school too.
Yes, there are many serious consequences to bullying, with victims occasionally committing suicide. In light of this, we will discuss about what we can do as the grown-ups to help children combat bullying in their environment.
Now, joining us now in the studio is clinical psychologist from Personal Growth, Shierlen Octavia. Good morning and thank you for joining us. Now, the first question is, one of the things that, this is funny, it happened at my daughter's school is when we see it as a parents as a bullying, some teachers saying like, oh, they're just being kids. And then so what considered as mischief and then what can be considered as bullying? Because kids, it's kind of sad that the fact that some teachers consider like, oh, they're just being kids. But at the same time, they're like, well, we're hoping that you can do something. Or we don't know the parents, like maybe we can meet the parents, but like at what point can we consider as mischief and what point can we consider as bullying?
Yes, I think that's a very interesting question and of course an important one, especially to answer, of course, many of the parents' concerns about their children at school. So basically the difference between mischief and bullying is the intention. So maybe I will start with the definition of bullying. So bullying is defined as behavior, a form of unwanted aggressive behavior that intentionally and repeatedly done by someone to cause harm or discomfort or injury, while mischief is often done by kids because of wanting to relate to her friends or his friends at school, and usually it was fun for both of them and it's not considered as harm for both parties. And there has to be three characteristics to be define a behavior as bullying. The first one is the intentional part. So the behavior done has to be a deliberate attempt to cause harm to someone or even a group of people. And the second one is the part repeated. It must be repeated. The action occurs must be repeatedly done over time, also to the same person or a group of people. And the third one is there has to be a power imbalance, which means someone who bullies tend to have like more physical or even social power than the person who are being bullied.
Okay, so let me get that right again. The intention.
Yes.
And then the
repetition.
Repetition.
And then the other one is the
power imbalance.
Power imbalance. All right.
Three characteristics. So as parent, what can we do so our children feel free to open up to us? Because sometimes they don't want to tell the parents because they don't want the parents to intervene. And then it will create more problems for him or her in the future in that setting or in that environment.
Yeah, since it is of course an unpleasant experience for the child himself or herself, so it might also be hard for them to tell their problems openly to their parents, since we know that some children they don't often express their concerns verbally to their parents, even to their friends. So the first thing, and of course of the utmost importance that we can do as parents, is to make sure that the line of communications are open. And we have to do it on a regular basis, not only when a problem arises. So how can we do that as parents? How to build a safe environment for them to feel safe, to feel comfortable to talk about their problems. The first one is, of course, to be listening to them openly, gently, in a calm manner. So focus on making them feel heard and supported in any way possible. So we have to check in with them on a daily basis. We can ask them about their schools, their activities, their social activities, of course, and extracurriculars. And we have to inquire not only about their activities, but also about their feelings. So make it like a daily habit for them to tell their parents about their daily activities is also a must. So they, in the future, if there is anything happens like this, they know how to talk about it with their parents and also being more comfortable talking about their problems.
Now that's interesting. Can you give me like an example? Because honestly, as a parent, every time I ask my daughter, "So how's school?" It's fine. I forgot. I don't know. Like how can I? What can I say to encourage her to share with me what's happening at school?
Instead of asking them about how is his or her day at school, we can also ask them about their friends. Maybe that is more relate to them because it is their everyday life. Yeah, you can ask about how about your friends. So remembering their friends' names are also important.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how's Jaden?
It will be more interesting for them also to answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so be more specific in the questions. So I think like one of the reluctance in children in sharing the story of what they have gone through at school or other activities is because they don't want to be seen as crybaby.
Yeah.
And then also they don't want to be seen as weak, of course. And then most of the time, like we heard the story of what happened to our children from fellow parents who received tips, received stories from their children. So in this situation, what can be done? I mean, as a parents, like should we like also, be proactively asking other parents, do you hear something about my son? Or what do you think?
Actually, it's okay to ask from fellow parents because we can also gather data, not only from our kids, of course, but also from their parents, their friends, their classmates, or even their teachers. So it is okay. And the most important one is for us to always taking a collaborative approach and, of course, a problem-solving approach rather than like picking more about our children's personal life, from fellow parents, because it might be disturbing or our children might not feel very okay or comfortable with it.
Now, growing up, I'm one of the bigger kid, and then, but at the same time I got bullied. But like the way to settle back in the days, it was I got into fights. So now at the same time, like we're working parents, and we cannot control our kids 24/7. At the same time, we cannot even, some school are not that. Aren't able to watch the kids all the time because like some school have like one class with 30-something students, so they cannot even watch all of them all at once. So what kind of steps can we tell the kids, like, hey, if this happened to you, like what kind of steps that they need to do, like what kind of steps that we can tell our kids, like what, like I don't want to tell them hit him back. I mean that was like I believe that was like back in the days, like that should be like we should avoid that by now. Like so what kind of steps that we as a parents should try to encourage our kids to do?
Yes, that's a very good question because we have to take preventive measures, of course, instead of like curative measures to to handle the situations. So after making sure that we have this kind of safe environment for the children to express themselves about telling their problems to us, we can teach them to how to handle this kind of situation by teaching them how to practice the 3 R's.
3 R's.
Yes. The first R is to recognize. Okay. So educate them about what is bullying, like what is the difference between the teasing one, the mischief behavior, and also the bullying. So they can be aware of warning signs of being a victim. And once they know more about bullying, it will also help them to be more quickly and easily to notice whether it is happening to them or anyone else in their classes or even at their school. And the second one is to respond. Yeah, of course we should teach them how to respond to it. Before going into fight, of course, we have to tell them about how to verbally respond that kind of bullying. such as creating a list of responses. For example, of course, it should be simple and direct, but not antagonistic. Whenever, for instance, her friend or his friend is calling him or her by names, or mocking them or yelling at them, we can teach our children to say like, "Oh, please, I don't like that," or "That wasn't nice. Please leave me alone." Yeah, instead of only giving them silence or not telling them anything. And we can also teach them to deliver her or his messages in an I format, I messages. So,
like?
The first sentence is always started with an I. For example, I feel angry that you are calling me by names. It makes me feel uncomfortable, and I want you to, starting from now, calling me by my real name. Yeah, for example, like that, instead of putting the blame on the bullies.
Okay, so recognize and then respond, and then the
Yes.
other R is?
The last one is to report, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, if something like this happens at schools, they should immediately report to their teacher, be it the homeroom teacher or the subject teachers, and of course to us as their parents. And as adults, we can also help them to tell the problem to the teachers only after we ask about their opinion. Like, is it okay if mom or dad tell your problem to our teachers? Because children might have some fear that the bullies will have like potential retaliation, more aggressive in the future.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've seen like some grown-ups growing up carrying emotional baggage because of the bullying they experienced in the past. How to recover from this? Because it's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
They carry it through the years.
Yes. Bullying can have like long-lasting consequences in a negative way. So of course we have to be careful of it. The first thing that we can do as parents is to once again rebuild their self-confidence, of course, because the better they feel about themselves, the less likely that the bullying can have negative impact on the long term. So we can encourage them to once again engage more in their hobbies, in extracurricular activities, or even in social situations that can bring out the best in them.
Now, besides going to an expert on this kind of case, because we're in Jakarta, we're kind of fortunate that we have access to a lot of psychologists. But again, a lot of people, they're unable to access this these so-called experts due because maybe monetary reasons, or maybe it's just not available around them. So, what kind of steps that this kind of low-income families or people who just don't have access, how can they get help for their children when they're already having the trauma of being bullied?
Yeah, I think there are some sort of like misunderstandings about going to therapy, about mental health issues, about going to see psychologists or a clinical psychologists or psychiatrists for like, being very pricey. But actually there are many affordable services, both psychological and even psychiatrist services out there, and can be also accessed online. So even our siblings, our friends from, not from Jakarta, they can also access quality services from here. Yeah, we can also search it on a website. If you ever heard about IPK, Ikatan Psikolog Klinis Indonesia, yes, you can also search the psychologists available in your town through the website ipk.id.
ipk.id.
Yes.
Okay, so about the anarchist action, this is one of the most feared from that experienced by the victims of bullying. What do you think about this? What should we do as parents?
Yeah, since bullying can also take tolls on children's mental health, such as bring out strong anger feelings, like the case presented, like we have seen it also on the news. First of all, of course, we can ask them to invite them and ask them about how the bullying experience for them. And as parents, we can also build a support system for this kid, yeah, to make sure that there are people that are support him or her, so they also feel that they don't have to face the problems alone. Yeah, and of course consider to, yeah, going to therapy to see clinical psychologists, because going to therapy can really help them in having healthy coping ways, and of course knowing how to handle the situations better.
All right, so this is gonna be our last questions. You know, we're talking about kids being bullied, but how about if our kids are the bully, the one that doing the act? How can we safely trying to help our kids on?
Yeah.
Back on track.
Put the kids on track. Yes.
Yeah, of course, yeah. It is also a very common thing actually, and of course it is very like concerning for the parents if they know that their kids are bully, the perpetrator. So first of all, what we can do is, of course, to communicate. We can ask them about what happened, what triggers the behavior, because it is not coming out of nowhere, of course, the bullying experience. It might be because they are fighting with the other kids, or if there is any conflict happens at home with their siblings, with parents, because most of the times the bullies tend to bully because they lack of attention at home. Yeah, so try to communicate, of course, in a gently way so they don't feel attacked. Yeah, yeah, of course. And the second one is to clearly communicate what is expected from them. And of course, we have to model, because kids are a very great
Imitator?
Yeah, imitator. So and they very much model our behavior as their parents. So we have to like giving examples about how to treat others with kindness, and of course communicate it with them. Like, this is not nice. Saying things like that to your friend is not nice. Like punching or kicking them is not nice. And as parents, we also have to, yeah, kind of simulate it to our kids.
I need a special session on that one, so I can learn
Yes.
the calmer parents to handle my kids. Shierlen, thank you so much for sharing with us. Now, all right, guys, we're up for another short break. In the meantime, don't forget to follow our social media account if you haven't already done so. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and of course on YouTube at C Today News. So stay here on the C Morning Show.